CNBC-TV18, embarking on a quarter century of excellence.
Hello and welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The crucial maritime route Red Sea has become a focal point with attacks by Houthi rebels. Global trade has been adversely impacted as Houthis target commercial ships passing through the Suez Canal, which is a key sea route connecting Asia and Europe. The worsening security situation in the sea has pushed major shipping companies such as Maersk, MSC and CGM to halt their services. Over 100 container ships have already been rerouted to Africa due to the attacks. The diversion adds about 6,000 nautical miles to an average voyage from Asia to Europe and extends the delivery timeline by 3 to 4 weeks. Now, according to Moody's Analytics, oil prices have risen nearly $5 per barrel over fears of supply disruptions due to the rerouting costs and security risks as well. To take this forward, I'm now joined by former Ambassador Anil Trigunayat and former Navy spokesperson D.K. Sharma. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the show today. Ambassador Trigunayat, how do you think this is something that could affect the average Indian? If you were to explain to a layman how this affects us closer home, how would you do that?
Well, as you know that, Parikshit, India's roughly about 20% trade goes through this channel, Red Sea routes, and through Bab el-Mandab and into the Suez Canal. So obviously that this is going to have a direct impact. Another thing is that we have been getting a lot of our Russian oil, 40% of which is now coming from Russia, and this is also using the same route. And from there, again, if the cost of transportation, insurance, and delays occur, obviously it is going to impact a great deal. And as you mentioned, about $5, it's already gone in the international market, the price of the oil. And so it is going to have a cyclical impact across various products and day-to-day life of Indians and everybody else. In fact, the whole world is currently worried about this. You know, Europe to Asia, about 40% of the trade passes through it. And so it is going to have a direct impact on everything that one is doing in this region. And that is why India has been insisting on the maritime security and the stability and the fact that there should be no these kind of attacks on the international trade. And this is precisely what is happening now by Houthis in this region. And it is not easy. Earlier, we had the problem of the maritime anti-piracy, in which India had also deployed its naval assets. And now we are again have to protect our own assets in the region to that extent. But the region is becoming very, very crowded with various countries, and USA, USA coming into with its own new plans.
Right. D.K. Sharma, if I can get you in. Captain Sharma, what are the direct risks to the Indian government and Indian security? You've got Houthi rebels who control parts of North Yemen. They want to show that they are on the side of Palestinians. They're attacking any ship which has linkages to Israel. How does this affect us directly in a security point of view? How are we prepared to deal with this situation?
Good evening, Parikshit. First of all, let me tell you that Indians, by far, you will find them on any platform, any white shipping that they are serving over there. So our interest is directly, indirectly linked to it. Number two, this area of what you are coming to, Suez Canal, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Aden, Bab el-Mandab, and coming out towards the Indian Ocean region. 12% of the world trade is passing through the Suez, which means that it has to pass through the Red Sea and before that, the Gulf of Aden. And if you see, the Houthi rebels are on the north side of it, and they have all the time, and they can pick and choose what contact to prosecute and how they're getting their information, from where their things are coming out. They're only targeting things which are non-Russian, non-Chinese, but any other flag, and you find that it is under threat. And that is why a US-led coalition of 20 navies has now been formed and now operating over there under Prosperity Guardian. But this is the kind of threat which has emanated over the last 6-7 days. And believe you me, if you ask me, and as we shared the map before you, with you, Once you have to reroute and come through the Cape of Good Hope, it will cost you at least 40% more by distance, 8 to 10 days extra of delays, and the cost of it will be proportional to that. So this is the kind of threat which has just started. Apart from what Ambassador Trigunayat was saying, anti-piracy, which is also running concurrently. The Somali pirates are on the loose. And as you see, Indian Navy is already involved with that MV Ruin, which is now heading towards some port next to Somalia. So this threat, along with this threat from the Houthi rebels, which is a direct, effect of Israel-Hamas war, this is all going to get complex. And believe you me, on this point, insofar as attack on the white shipping or the commercial trade is concerned, they have all the time to pick and choose the target. How far we have to be, all the forces have to be vigilant 24/7. And the kind of traffic over there, the concentration of vessels which are leaving the Suez, entering the Suez and coming through this. And as you have rightly brought out, Maersk has stopped operations. Hapag Lloyd has stopped operations. British Petroleum has stopped operations, which means all these energy needs will be catered to for the world, but with a higher cost. So it is the cost which is going to matter, along with the insurance amounts. It's going to be a complex thing.
Right. Of course, it's going to be complex, and that could hike up inflation as well. And this has been a global concern, not just in India. Ambassador Trigunayat, coming to you, when it comes to this maritime security initiative, the Red Sea, which is being led by the US, how effective has this been so far? And if this escalates, which are the countries that we could find on the opposing side?
Well, as you are aware that Iran is one country that supports Houthis, Hamas and Hezbollah, or has some kind of a connect with them, even though they deny any direct hand in this. But they definitely will be coming to their rescue if a situation escalates and they don't have any good relations with the Americans also. So that is obviously a direct contrast, and it's interest, geopolitical interest for them. Not that they are seeking any war at the moment. At the same time, I think that the other countries which are going to be, in this whole saga that has come out, Houthis have simply exempted the Chinese and the Russian ships. So that clearly shows that they will have a certain kind of a support, direct or indirect, from these two powers as well. So the American plan is very much there, and the US is a navy which is all pervasive. India is a resident power in the Indian Ocean. But at the same time, I think, as Captain Sharma said, that this is a very complex situation. It can go out of hand at any time. So in my view, if the world is really looking to get some kind of a stability, they should plug the loophole as far as the Israel-Hamas war is concerned, which has already cost a huge number of people and casualties, civilian casualties, humanitarian strife. So that needs to be handled rather deftly. In that, unfortunately, the US role has not been exemplary, and in fact has been one of a catalyst. So that is why we are going to see a greater escalation of this war and expansion in the other conflicts. I mean, let us not forget about Hezbollah sitting in Lebanon and Syria also, where it is quite possible that if this happens here, goes a little more further down, then you might have Hezbollah also getting into it. So then the situation is going to go out of hand, and no country will be able to handle it.
Right. You are right about the complications and the escalation possibilities. Going back to Captain D.K. Sharma. Captain Sharma, if I were to ask you as to how the Houthis, the rebels, are carrying out these attacks on commercial ships, what is the kind of weaponry they have, and how long can they continue these attacks? Who is supporting them directly? What would be answers to those questions?
Answers are very clear. You see, they have the drones, they have the latest missiles, and they are getting the latest information from God knows where. I won't be, putting it out so succinctly and clearly, but everybody knows, as Ambassador also brought out, that there is a backing, there is a solid backing, and wherever the interested cargo is going, the people who are involved with it, somehow or the other, whether it is the Chinese or whether it is the Russian, they are being spared. But rest everybody might become a target. It has still not become a target, but the threat looms large. The point is, for them, any hit is a 100% hit. For the coalition forces or for the merchant mariners who are just passing through that area, it becomes hell for them. If a missile lands on the ship, after that it is the total mayhem on board, and the next cargo shipment will not come from that company. So where do you draw the lines? So they are, Houthis are being fed information very, very correctly. They know which ship is starting from where, destined to what kind of cargo it is carrying, what is the crew they have. So they have some kind of filtered data which is being used now and being used very, very selectively. But for all of us who are, affected parties, so whether it is paying the insurance premiums, whether it is the inflation cost, or whether it is the cost of transporting the goods from place A to place B, or for that matter from Europe to Asia and further beyond to the Southeast Asia, it's going to be a real challenge. Let's see how it unfolds, but it is the problem lies, as the ambassador says, it is in the conflict, and some answer to the conflict has to come out. Enough is enough over there. Far too many casualties, far too many innocents have been brought in. Yes, whatever they did was wrong, but the cost which the world will have to pay will be much, much, much more.
Right. Ambassador Trigunayat, coming back to you, of course, there will be a war risk surcharge that we will have to pay, and perhaps some insurance companies are already putting that right now. But when it comes to India's options, the Prime Minister has spoken to Netanyahu about this. We have been in constant conversation with UK, United States and other Western allies. What are India's options available, or do you think our options will only work if the conflict between Israel and Hamas comes to an end?
Well, I think that Prime Minister has spoken to Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is also involved in this war expansion. At the same time, Prime Minister has told him that they should keep track of the casualties and try to provide civilian relief supplies and all, which India is also doing that. At the same time, we are seeing that the resolution at the UN Security Council, which has been piloted by UAE, is still struggling to get some kind of a right word, whether it should be ceasefire, cessation of hostilities and all that, while 20,000 people are already dead in Gaza. So I think that this will be not, because we don't have any connect with the Houthis. We have connect with the Omanis, and Oman Sultan was recently here, and I'm quite sure Prime Minister would have spoken to him also. At the same time, the Iranians, so we had a joint commission meeting just this week, and I think we are talking to them as well. And of course, with the US Naval Force and Task Force and all that, our connect goes through from Bahrain, where we participate in the anti-piracy activities. So all that is fine, but as Captain Sharma said, that you have to protect your own naval assets, and Indian ships are there in the region, but it can happen anything, So, but India is working with all partners in this field and trying to secure the supplies as well as working towards the end of the war.
All right, we've run out of time, but Ambassador Trigunayat, Captain D.K. Sharma, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on the program discussing a very important issue related to the security in the Red Sea, something that impacts us very, very closely back home. We're heading into a short break, but more news and updates continue when we return.
CNBC